Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Hadhrat Zaid Wulde Adam Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. सब नबियों में अफज़ल व अकरम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम. नाम मोहम्मद काम मुकर्रम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम. हादी कामिल रहबर आज़म सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम. सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम.
From a succession of 124,000 noble prophets of God, one prophet was foreseen to appear, who would rise far higher in rank than any of his predecessors. A prophet who would fulfill his destined role as the promised saviour of mankind. A prophet who would encapsulate the most revered title as the seal of the prophets. The date was 610 AD. In the cave of Hira, situated within the Arabian Peninsula, Hadhrat Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, began the journey of fulfilling his role as the greatest prophet of mankind. After he experienced the first revelation, his instinctive reaction was one of solemn humility. He became agitated and restless. He had been propelled into a sphere that he had never imagined, and it caused him great distress. He returned home to his wife, Hazrat Khadija, shaking and trembling. She immediately tried to comfort him, and to reassure him further, she suggested they consult her cousin, Waraka bin Wafil. Now an old and blind man, he was well versed in holy scriptures and had discarded paganism to become a Christian. On hearing the Holy Prophet's miraculous account, Waraka bin Wafil responded with conviction. The angel who descended on Moses has descended upon you. He also told him that he would have to present himself to his people, and warned him that it would not be easy.
दक्षिण पूरब पश्चिम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम अव्वल व आखिर शारे खातम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम.
He continued to spend his days and nights in the caves, occupied in prayer and meditation. For some time, he stopped receiving revelations and passed this period in great anxiety. But this period of silence was soon to change forever. One day, as he walked back home from the cave, he suddenly heard a voice, as if someone was speaking to him. He looked in all directions, but saw no one. But when he looked up to the sky, he saw a grand chair suspended between the heaven and the earth, on which was seated the same presence whom he had seen in the cave previously. After the presence departed, he rushed home shivering and immediately asked Hazrat Khadija to cover him up. As soon as he lay down, he heard the majestic voice addressing him again. O ye wrapped in the cloak, arise and warn and magnify your Lord. Purify yourself and stamp out idolatry. He was now convinced of his mission, to call people to the oneness of God, and so the message was about to be revealed to the world. When he announced his proclamation, the closest members of his family accepted him immediately. First was his wife, Hazrat Khadija, then Zaid, a slave that the Holy Prophet had freed and raised as his own. His cousin, Ali, the son of Abu Talib, whom he had taken under his care from the age of 5, and finally Hazrat Abu Bakr. A successful merchant of high character and known for his kindness to others, he was a close friend of the Holy Prophet and showed no sign of reluctance in accepting his message. To Hadhrat Muhammad's intense disappointment, his uncles Abu Talib, Abbas and Hamza were not interested. Abu Talib, who was the chief of the Hashim tribe, had a lot of regard for his nephew and explained to him that he could not abandon the religion of his forefathers, but he did not prevent his family members making their own choice to follow him.
खत्म हुए जब कुल नबियों के दौर नबूवत के अफसाने बंद हुए इरफान के चश्मे झुक गया अब रे रहमत बारी आबे हयाते नौ बरसाने.
In the first 3 years of secret and quiet preaching, he managed to build up a small group of fervent believers. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was aware that his claim would threaten the old-fashioned Quraysh, and this was one reason he kept a low profile. In the beginning of the 4th year of his ministry, he started receiving revelations that commanded him to declare himself publicly. O Prophet, the command that has been given to thee, announce it to people clearly and openly. Then he received the revelation, and warn thy nearest kinsman. Hadhrat Muhammad was about to attempt the impossible. He wanted every man and woman of Mecca to look for signs of God's goodness and magnificence, evident wherever they looked in the natural world. He wanted them to know that God had created, guided, and preserved the whole order of the universe for their benefit. He stood on Mount Safa and with a loud and pronounced voice called each tribe of the Quraysh by name. When they all gathered, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, asked them, O Quraysh, if I said a huge army is on the other side ready to attack you, will you believe me? As they knew him to be the most honest and truthful from among them, they immediately said they would. But when he gave the divine message, they all laughed and ridiculed him. Amongst them was Abu Lahab, one of the chiefs of the tribes and an uncle of the Prophet. This did not discourage him. A few days later, he asked Ali to invite about 40 leading men from the tribe of Hashim for a meal. They were relatives of the Holy Prophet and descendants of Abdul Muttalib. After the meal, when he tried to convey the message, Abu Lahab rudely interrupted and eventually broke up the gathering. The Holy Prophet asked Ali to arrange another meal. On this occasion, when he conveyed the message, there was an awkward silence. His uncles, Abu Talib, Hamza and Abbas, all remained quiet. Ali, who was only 11 years old, could not bear this silence and spoke out. I, though the youngest and weak, O Prophet of God, I will be your helper. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, placed his hand on his shoulder and addressed the guests. If you follow him, you will prosper. This insulted the Quraysh. As they got up to leave, Abu Lahab turned to Abu Talib and mocked. Now Muhammad is asking us to follow your son. Then they left without taking heed. The Quraysh were being asked to abandon the religion of their forefathers, a worship of idols. They were not yet ready to accept this new way of life. However, there were many to be found amongst the slaves, the young men, and the tormented, who began to feel alive again. These people had suffered unbelievable oppression. They began to gather around the Holy Prophet for guidance. One of the most famous was Hadhrat Bilal, a man owned by Umayyah bin Khalf. He would put hot stones on his chest, urging him to deny the unity of God. but Bilal remained steadfast. After one such ordeal, Bilal was left to the point of death. Hazrat Abu Bakr could not bear to see his companion in such pain. The Holy Prophet instructed him to approach Umayyah and offered to buy his freedom. Bilal later became the first muezzin calling people to prayer.
की सैराब बुलंदी बस्ती जिंदा हो गई बस्ती बस्ती बादा कशों पर छा गई मस्ती एक एक ज़र्फ़ भरा भर खाने एक बरसात करम की पैहम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम.
As more people assembled to listen to the Prophet, Hadhrat Muhammad felt the need of a place where the Muslims could gather together for worship and guidance. For this purpose, he chose the house of Arqam, situated on the slopes of Mount Safa. Fierce opposition towards the Prophet and his followers grew, but this did not deter the Muslims. They intensified their efforts to spread the message, and the honourable amongst the Meccans swiftly came into the fold of Islam. This was to cause unease amongst the elders, because their hierarchical system was being shattered. The Meccan chiefs, recognizing that they could not simply beat the Muslims to submission, approached the Prophet's uncle Abu Talib. They told him to dissuade his nephew from preaching his message. In return, they offered to make the Holy Prophet their chief. They offered him wealth and the hand of any woman of his liking. Abu Talib relayed this message to the Holy Prophet, who replied, "I say that even if they were to place the sun on my right hand and the moon on my left, I would not desist from preaching the truth. I must go on doing so until I die. You can choose your own pleasure." Abu Talib replied, "My nephew, go your way. Do your duty. Let my people give me up. I am with you." And the Holy Prophet did exactly that. He continued to spread his message and to fulfill his duty to God. However, the oppression was to continue.